Okay, I thought I would do another short introductory video to talk about the beginning of the second module of the course unit. So hopefully you're beginning to get familiar with Canvas a little bit. You'll see on the left-hand menu here you've got this is the home page where we're at the moment. So if I click here, hopefully it will load quite quickly. Yes, there we are. There's the home page. And you've got the announcements page, but the main area to focus on is in the modules. So people who are a little bit perhaps unsure about how this works, how to do distance learning, as some people were raising issues in the webinars, perhaps might want to be exploring this in a bit more detail. So essentially we should by now have completed Unit 1. So people who are still making comments on different bits of reading or on your 6 degrees tasks, then please do so. Things don't stop. You can carry on. You can do this, within your own time. But please work through the different areas and as far as possible, make comments about the issues that you find relevant. Please have a look at the video. I think that's an interesting video and potentially raises a variety of different issues around the whole business of the preferences for distance learning, online learning, e-learning, whatever term we want to use to describe that, and we'll go into detail about the different terminology a bit later. And we've also picked up on that with the issues around the manifesto, which we've been discussing in the synchronous sessions. So basically the subsequent units work in a similar way. So there are a number of subsequent substantive units. So Unit 2 about tools and communication, Unit 3 that goes back and looks at developments in distance and online learning, and then looks forward as well in the way that things are working now and hopefully in the future. Then we look specifically at the role of the teacher in the whole process, and then finally we come back to focusing on the learner. So essentially the tasks for this block that run again over a 2-week period is to begin to explore different tools. So of course tools are an essential feature of the whole online learning process, and one of the parts of the assignment is to explore a particular tool that you're interested in, and I will put up the assignment in the next couple of days. So there's some discussion here which you need to read through, link through to an article that's interesting, a little bit old perhaps now in some ways, but still the issues that it raises are important. So the technologies may have changed, but actually the issues that it raises are important. And then we have a move into looking at issues around MOOCs, which of course are where we're at to some extent now. It was interesting. There was a little discussion in this morning's webinar where we talked about developments in LinkedIn. So LinkedIn have started or are going to start offering courses as well based on a website called lynda.com, which has been an interesting open source tool up until recently. So there's a bit of discussion here, and then there's a second task for you to have a look at in small groups, and this is an interesting list of a whole variety of tools that people use in a variety of for e-learning in a variety of ways, both online and in blended courses. And if you're not familiar with this, I think it's quite interesting and revealing to look at both the range of tools that are used, but also the types of tools that are actually that come out the top of this list. So the task is for you to meet up or exchange views so that you can summarize your ideas about the kinds of tools that you use and why you use them. And this is then related to the Horizon reports, which, if you're not familiar with these Horizon reports, they're done on a yearly basis in all phases of education now. And they're looking, their futurology, they're trying to kind of guess what's going to happen over the next sort of 3 to 5 years in terms of different technologies, and it changes and it updates, and sometimes things get repeated, and sometimes nothing, and the things that are predicted just don't come to pass, or they don't come to pass at the speed which is suggested by these reports. But they're well worth being familiar with, and again they talk about specific technologies, and we'll come back to those in the webinar. So the same structure applies. So essentially the idea is for you to read and think, to talk to each other about these issues in preparation for the webinar that occurs at the end of this fortnight. So if you follow through here, you'll see that the click next and you've got the discussion that relates, the forum discussion, which you can explore and make comments on. Hopefully people will make a contribution there. You've then there is another part that talks about, it's further about tools. So you've got different discussion here about different areas. So again, read this through. There are some links. There's some links to some literature talking about the area of transactional distance and the affordances of specific technologies there. So there's some things to have a look at. There's lots to be explored. So part of this is about you deciding the areas that you want to focus on, but hopefully you'll work through these materials, and you can download these materials and read them on your favorite device, or you can print them out, and then at the end of the 2-week period, at the end of next week, or middle and end of next week, we'll have some more discussion around a particular paper. I mean, we'll start off by talking about the Horizon reports and see what you've done. We'll also bring in discussion around your top 10, but then we'll focus towards the end on this Knoll, Dyke, Oliver and Seal paper that looks at issues to do with pedagogy and learning design. So that's how the next 2-week block is structured. And hopefully you'll find that doable over the 2-week block. And just as a final point, the Tuesday morning 11 o'clock webinar this morning was okay in terms of numbers, so that seems to be a good time. So we'll have a Tuesday morning and a Tuesday evening slot. And then into that we'll add, I'm going to move the slot on Friday outside of the face-to-face class time. So if people who are on site want to attend on a Friday, they can do. So I'm going to run those at 2:30. So I'll put an announcement up about that, so you've got all the detail. So hopefully you've got an idea of what you need to do, and you can navigate yourself your way around the different materials. So if you've got any questions, as usual, you can text me or email me through the system, or email me on my normal Manchester address, or you can contact Shai as well. So it's both of us will answer your questions.